Look who it is! Look who it is! Hello, we are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever the hell you are in the world, and welcome to SciTrek, your sci-fi TV and movie channel, with Matthew. Say hello, Matthew. And Harris.
Howdy, howdy.
Hello, Harris.
Stormy Bear!
Touchdown! Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Your shifts have changed, so you can join us again, and we're so happy.
Oh, hang on a second. Hang on. Just good God. See, I'm out of touch here. All right. Let's see.
It's fine. Look, I'll run the starting sequence, and then you can get into it.
There we go. Sorry about that.
Excellent. Right. So before we get too stuck in, do you want to have a little bit, or do you hear a little bit of a rumor that I've been hearing this week? Should we get into that first?
Oh, definitely. I love it.
It's interesting. It's interesting. So we'll do that. It's not really news, but so I was talking to a chap that works on the legal side of things over at MGM, and he was talking about. He's the guy that's been talking to me about. It could be a girl. I say guy, but it could be a girl. Trying to protect his anonymity. It could be bi gender. I don't know. Anyway, they. That's good. Good. Let's. We'll pretend that nobody knows now. Anyway. This person is the guy that's been talking to me about. God, fuck's sake! The person that's been talking to me about the Warner Brothers deal and how Amazon have been looking for a big studio partner. Now he was saying actually that Sony apparently want big chunks of. They want to basically own parts of the IP and own elements of anything they do with Amazon. So Amazon are not very happy about that. So they're doing projects. They're okay doing projects with Sony that are already like existing brand new projects. So things like The Boys, they're happy to do that. Excuse me. They don't want to do anything that they already own the IP to. So that means a Sony Stargate deal might be off the cards. So they've been talking with Warner Brothers. Now they're doing loads of projects with Warner Brothers already. So we thought that was possibly very likely. And apparently they were looking at a deal with Warner Brothers to do to basically rent a load of studio space off them, but Warner Brothers want like a 20-year deal, and Amazon don't want to do that because it's way too much. They actually the long-term ambition was to start producing things themselves, and they already do have a little bit of studio space that actually opened towards the end of last year at Culver City Studios. They have the world's largest virtual studio there that opened very recently. So they've already started to move along that path of trying to get their own studio space. So they're now pulling away from the Warner Brothers deal as well. They don't want to do that. So instead, they're looking at a partnership with a private studio firm that currently owns Culver Studio, where Amazon's got its world headquarters is at Culver Studio, and they actually lease the buildings off this company. And I'll get the name of the company actually while we're chatting because I wrote it down. They just bought Vancouver Film Studios. They've got a partnership with Bridge Studios where Stargate was first filmed. It's called the Hackman Group and MBS. So in the moment, Amazon are looking to having a bit of a more long-term partnership with those guys instead, and they're actually the world's largest private owner of studio space, so not a bad partnership to have. And like I said, they've already got a working partnership with them because they lease buildings off them already. So it's a bit of a different direction, basically because of money. It looks like Amazon are trying to bring their ambitions forward a bit. It looked like they were trying to do these Warner Brothers deals so that they could get stuff going quicker. But it's not really looking like it's working out. So they're going to bring those plans forward and maybe do this stuff themselves, which I don't know what you guys think, but I'm thinking that's a good thing.
I think that's a great thing, honestly. They need to start doing things themselves, and that just puts a drive under the company as a whole, not just for our little pocket fandom of Stargate, but if it drives a company forward as a whole, and it happens to be Stargate that does that, that means they're that much more invested in just the IP and its fans and the fan base, which means we get to be happy campers all the time, which I like to be, so.
And they don't have to share any of the proceeds with other production companies either.
Well, also, I mean, there's this. I mean, one of the comments we get quite a lot is too many cooks spoil the broth.
Mm-hmm.
And any company that's going to be involved, Warner Brothers, Sony, anybody, they're going to want to have some influence on.
Kill all mosquitoes in the area in 90 seconds. This simple.
What was that?
I don't know, but it was funny.
Stormy, what was that?
Okay, so for some reason I can't interact with the chat, and I was just trying to. I can't type in the chat, so ignore me.
You can just speak. You have a forum. You can talk.
Well, I know, but I just want to say everyone's saying, "Oh, hey, Stormy, how's it doing?" So it's just, but I can't say hey back. So anyway, I can't interact in the chat. So everybody in the chat, hey, how are you? Missed you bunches. Kisses and hugs. Okay, I'm done.
Good. All right. Well, so what's your opinion on this idea then that actually Amazon might go with Stargate and other projects like RoboCop?
Well, I mean, it's my initial fear is it's going to end up like fractured like Spider-Man, Sony and Marvel and Sony, everybody owning a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and
keep them away from the chat, damn it.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So yeah, but that would be my main concern, and it's I think. We've seen it be problematic in other circles, in other franchises. And it seems like there's so many challenges as it is for Stargate. And I'd hate to see, studio territorial fighting over it. And every time that happens, I think the fans lose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, no, I agree. What else think, Matt?
Well, as I said, you basically touched on it. Less people means spending less money to pay them, which means they can reinvest that potentially back into it and actually have more of a budget because they're not having to pay Warner Brothers a 20% fee or a 10% fee or whatever it is, or Sony a 10% fee, 20% fee. That money can go directly into production costs. I mean, they're probably going to be paying this Hackman group a little bit, but if they're already doing that anyway, maybe that's already allocated.
Yeah. Well, it's renting space. I mean, regardless of how they do this, there are production costs. There are costs that go involved with these things. But it seems to be. I mean, this company, this group that they've been buying. They've only really existed in the studio market business for about 15 years, and now they're the largest single owner of studio space. The Bridge Studio, where SG-1 was originally filmed near Vancouver, is going through a massive rebuild at the moment. They're building 60 sound stages there, and it's in partnership with this company, this Hackman Group. And MBS, which are the world's largest single owner. They own the world's largest prop house. They own the world's largest supplier of lighting and grip equipment and stuff. They're a big company. But this Hackman Group, like I said, they weren't really in the business 15 years ago. Now they own studios in 7 different countries at 60 different locations.
60 sound stages?
That's a lot of sound stages. Bro.
That's a lot of sound stages.
Even on Hollywood's terms, man, that's a lot of sound stages.
We don't have room for that in this place.
It sounds like they're building like big sound stages to like make movies and stuff, but then there's going to be smaller ones because it talked about podcasts and things as well. So I think some of those sound stages might literally be a room with like soundproofing. so I think 60 might sound more impressive than it actually is. But it was a big site already. But
it's still impressive, but it's still investment, isn't it, into content creation? Whether it's movies, films, or podcasts, it's investment. It's good.
It's a couple of $1 billion. They spend. It's a big project over the next 2 to 3 years. But there's a massive shortage of studio space, so they're just investing. But these guys have also just bought that other studio space in Vancouver. It opened up an interesting possibility to me, though. Could Stargate go home?
Yeah, I'm really hoping so.
Yeah,
It would just come full circle. It'd be great for it to go back to Vancouver. I mean, even if it, I don't know. I mean, I ultimately I don't really care where it's filmed, but like that's where it came from. Maybe we'll get to see those forests again. That's what I'm excited for. Harry Spock in the forests. Harris will be happy about that.
Always.
Yeah. Steve Jones has got a great comment. Thank you. I'm really glad you typed that out.
Yeah. Thanks for stopping by.
See you later.
Talk whatever you want to, or don't.
Somebody of importance. I'm not important.
I thought we were important.
You're important in my heart.
Hang on, am I saying that right? Impotent.
No, somebody's important. Thank you, Steve. Really appreciate it.
Somebody did not have their Lucky Charms this morning. That's all.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go back to something that is important. Actually, talking about a TV show we like and enjoy talking about. And if you don't want to talk about it, go away. Anyway,
there's a hack actually. If you don't like what we're saying, you can press Alt and F4 on your keyboard. It mutes us and it deletes our channel forever.
Do that.
I like that hot.
Easy peasy.
Comments. Get comments going. Oh God, I hate your channel. Just fuck off.
I mean, if we want to add some validity to ourselves, we do quite legitimately have a rocket scientist back with us now. So, like,
build spaceship. So
you know,
hey,
yeah. Anyway, we don't have to stress. I've just made the point. Wasn't part of the Amazon deal. They did have to agree to produce a big percentage of stuff in America.
I didn't know that
deal to stop. Because there was this woman, Khan, who's basically the head of the body that had to go through, which I've now forgot the name of. Anyway, she's attacking. She's going after Amazon again at the moment. She's threatening to sue Amazon for something else they did. The financial regulatory body, whatever it's called. So they basically have these backdoor deal to sort of say, well, we'll produce, but it's not everything. They just have to produce so much percentage of new material. So it doesn't mean it can't be Canada. It just means that there'll be other stuff in America and big productions in America as well. So tax dollars. One of the things we did talk about this week on a couple of videos I talked about directors that actually they've been talking to directors because we think we're getting a movie. I've heard a couple of other things recently actually as well, but where it might be movie, TV series, but I'll talk about that later. The names that we got, Jordan Peele, who did Nope recently, who did The Twilight Zone, he's a writer on that. He did a screenplay for Candyman. He did that horror movie, Us, which was terrifying. Such a clever movie. Well, first of all, what would you think about him? Because when I heard that name, I was like, what? But
well, one thing it just.
Did you say Jordan Peele?
Yeah,
Jordan Peele.
Yeah,
from Key and Peele.
Yeah,
he did that.
Yeah, that's where I know him from.
Oh yeah,
he was an actor for years. Yeah, you know his face.
Well, a lot of times, when we hear these, announcements of directors and for this film or TV show that there's a lot of fandom about, and we just can't wrap our head around it. A lot of times, those are really successful. Lord of the Rings, Battlestar Galactica, the reboot for that. And we, the people pushing those like, how, Peter Jackson, really? How? It's just the frightened. How is he ever going? And it was gorgeous, And Battlestar Galactica, the reboot, was still probably some of the best sci-fi ever filmed.
Yeah, it was at the start.
A lot of times, when we hear this of a director's mention for something that's beloved like Stargate, and it actually turns out better than anyone ever expected. So I'm always willing to give these guys a unless they're straight out of film school, then that's an issue. But it's a lot of times they really can step up and bring something unique to the screen that we really haven't seen before.
Yeah. Well, Harris, you watched no.
I've seen every single one of his films. I think I've seen everything he's done, including produced, besides Twilight Zone, the new stuff. Yeah. So there's a couple different comments in here that I agree with wholeheartedly, and they all kind of go in different directions. Jordan Peele needs to just needs to just keep on doing his own movies in his own way. Don Juan said he does amazing work. Both of those are very true. And there was one more. Paul Maloney said with horror directors, they can keep to a budget. So all those are very true about Jordan Peele. Budgets are very...
Well, he didn't have one.
They can keep to a budget.
Like that big.
It's funny, but it's important nowadays. Just look at the Flash, look at Elemental. Indiana Jones is going to lose a bunch of money, most likely, from the way it's looking because of budget. It's
only, what, 25 million so far?
What?
60 million, isn't it, in the US? 60 million.
Which is a little less than the Flash, right? I think, which is bad. That's
that cut.
Or did Flash get 55 at the end of the day, and it was supposed to be
violence.
Okay.
Yeah. So
yeah, Secular Monk also makes a good point after that. My thought process is Jordan Peele is an amazing filmmaker. He knows the ins and outs of the entire industry. He's a great producer and actor. Obviously, Key and Peele, he got that down pat over time, and he knows human psychology through comedy, which is one of the easiest ways to really get into someone's brain. So he knows how to write something. He knows how to make something good. He's an excellent filmmaker. I really enjoyed all three of his films. Us, I think, is his weakest by far. Nope is a really cool sci-fi horror movie that changes what it does in a few different ways. I know some people didn't like it a whole bunch, but I think a lot of the things he put into that could fit very well into Stargate. Even Get Out. Get Out is just psychological as hell, and it makes you think. He's amazing at what he does, but I know not everybody's loved the Twilight Zone, and the Candyman remake was good, but not great. And he wrote both of those, and as of now, he's only directed the things that he has written and come up with himself. Every time he's done an IP of sorts, he produces and get somebody else to direct it. Kind of does that. So that's my worry with Jordan Peele. But because there's already we've talked about 100 times. There's already a script out there, one way or another. And whether it's a full script, it's a script that would be reworked by another director or what. There is at least part of a script, and there's a Bible that has to be followed to a degree, and layers and layers and layers of things. And I don't know if Jordan Peele wants to deal with that. I think he'd want to do more of his own thing. And I don't know if, because he'd be great in the fact that he's a really good character study. He is really, really good about getting like the 2, 3, 4, 5 characters that he wants you to know about. Good screen time, good character arcs, good development through that. With adding the minimum of 4 characters for an SG-1 plus all these legacy characters, I think that might be too much for him. And not in like a bad way, like he couldn't do it, but not in the way that he would want to do it. I'm speaking for him right now, so that could be completely wrong. But
in terms of legacy characters, they've already been written.
That's true too.
Legacy characters have already been written. They just need to behave the same way they did, kind of thing. So he's not actually doing that much work there.
I mean, it seems to me that this is almost like they've spoken to 2 or 3 different directors. They've both spoken to more than that. These are just the ones that the person I spoke to knows about. But they're going to be going to them, going like, "Look, we're going to do the Stargate movie. This is what we've already got in development. What would you do with it?" And then Jordan Peele's going to put his spin on it. Apparently, according to a friend of the channel, Jordan Peele is a big fan of MGM, and he's a bit of a buff on it. And there is another connection to Stargate that I promised I wouldn't mention. But this name made no sense to me on the surface when I saw it, thinking about the movies he's done. But if you think about it, he's got a history of working in comedy.
Mhm.
He's got a long history working in sci-fi and Twilight Zone and all this sort of thing. But also, I mean, the one thing about Nope was that it was grounded in an element of reality. I mean, Matt, what do you think? For me, those are the three most important things of Stargate that it's got to have.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that you could level up the humor quite a bit in Stargate if you did get it, because his stuff is hilarious. Don't know if you've ever seen Big Mouth, but that's hilarious. It's a cartoon, but it's a very funny adult cartoon.
Yeah. Don't say anything on our channel at the moment. It's not popular.
And then obviously Key and Peele is just funny anyway. So I think bringing his comedy in could be actually quite interesting, because it's not always like stupid comedy. Sometimes it's quite clever comedy. Like it has substance, and like you think about stuff after you've watched it.
Yeah. I just think it's like I say, it's one of those names that on the surface doesn't make any sense at all, but when you dig into it and start really thinking about it, it's like all of a sudden it's like, oh, he's an up and coming director. He'll bring fresh blood into it, and he's got a history that might work. But
yeah, and he could bring the sci-fi, as he proved in Nope. He could bring the horror aspect of things, that is just the terrifying vast galaxy of space, or the expansion of space, whatever. And he's funny. He can bring some good comedy back to it, which, as I might be wearing an SGU shirt right now, but we could use a little comedy, you know?
What are you talking about? The Stargate Universe was the funniest one.
Eli had some damn good comments, I'll tell you that. But that's about it.
Eli was my favorite character from SGU. I mean, it was just the best line. I'm not Math Boy. You know, I thought he had a really good delivery. You know.
Little do we all know, Stormy is just Eli Wallace, 70 years or 54 years in the future. And then back in time a little bit.
I've been through the gate and back.
And he returned.
Circuitry just said Eli wasn't funny. I completely disagree, but Adam Brody was also hilarious. Adam Brody was very funny.
Eli was funny. He just wasn't ha-ha funny. So, Simpsons quote. He was funny. He just wasn't laugh out loud funny. But no, the whole show wasn't funny, to be honest. But anyway, the next name on the list that we've got then is Chris McKay, who recently did The Tomorrow War. And he's just done Renfield, which I'm so desperate to watch.
Oh, my God, right? Renfield? Jesus.
Really, really want to
watch it. Why did you even say that? Now I'm all lusting for it again. Damn you.
Oh, God damn, I want to watch that film.
Lower your expectations.
Shut up. We're not talking to you.
I was ecstatic to go see it. I had that same thing. And it's not bad. It's not bad at all. It's actually very enjoyable, but it's not as
good as we think. I'm building myself up.
It's not what you want. Yeah.
Well, the only other thing this guy's done, he did the Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, which I saw a thing recently. It's Slate in it. And I'm like, I watched that film. I really enjoyed it. It's probably the best.
I love the shit out of it. It was a great movie.
That was brilliant.
The only problem with it is like the definition of simple. Like it is just like, all right, cookie cut here. But it is very well cookie cut together. It's placed together very well. Puzzle piece very well together.
Yeah. But I loved it. The only thing I think is it didn't do great at the cinema, but nothing is doing well at the cinema at the moment. Literally everything is losing money except for Maverick, which we're going to talk about in a minute, and Avatar. Everything else is losing money, it seems, at the moment. And so, yeah, it didn't do great. The only other thing this guy's done is like he's done a bunch of cartoon stuff. So he did like Robot
Lego
Chicken
Batman
and Lego Batman. So
which is probably his best film, honestly, which is odd.
Did Doolittle?
He did what, sorry?
Doolittle, the Robert Downey Jr. Dr.
Doolittle.
I
missed that.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Get Chris McKay out of here if he was part of that.
Yeah, that's no, but Robert Downey
looking at his like credits, there are a lot of kid-centric like properties here.
Yeah.
Is he the kind of guy to make something a little bit more serious like Stargate?
The Tomorrow War in Renfield they're much more adult humor oriented, not humor oriented Renfield wise, adult oriented Tomorrow War wise at least.
I think the only reason his name is on this list, if I'm honest, is because he did the Tomorrow War with Amazon, and somebody went, "We're doing Stargate. How about that guy that did Tomorrow War? He did a good job with that."
Is that one where they all come back from the future to bring people from now into the future so they can fight? All right. Yeah.
Chris Pratt.
Yeah, that's it.
Which it was not that great of a movie. It was really fun. But it wasn't like the direction or the story or even the characters that you enjoyed. It's just the bombast of the action and the really cool. They had really great CGI monsters in that movie, and they did. It was great.
It was funny in places.
Hey, Sci-Fi Quest, love.
I thought it was really funny in places, in bits, and I thought it worked. I thought it started badly and got better.
Yeah.
I think the first third. I mean, Andrew just said it's crap. I thought the first third probably was crap. The middle bit was fine, but the final third I thought was actually really good.
Except for the daughter stuff, I thought that was kind of wishy-washy.
That's the middle bit. I thought it was a bit. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, wishy-washy is a good way of putting it. There's but I thought it ended strong, which was maybe I wish it had started as strong. To be honest, it would have been a better film, but it was okay. I don't think it quite knew what it was early on. It was trying to be maybe a bit serious, and then it trying to have a bit of funny. I didn't quite know what it was, but anyway.
Which would be very worrisome with new Stargate, because like we talked about, Jordan Peele being able to balance horror, comedy, and sci-fi well, it wasn't well balanced in Tomorrow War, and with all of those things being exasperated to the way they are within Stargate, that would be a difficult task to put on somebody's hands that didn't necessarily achieve that the first time around.
Yeah. And if he didn't quite get to grips of what the project was, then that is a concern, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. The director, he's supposed to be your guiding star, that North Star.
Yeah. Anyway, so the last name before we move on to other stuff was Joseph Kosinski. Now, why would they have spoken to Joseph Kosinski? It makes no sense at all.
Just to piss you off.
For me, what will annoy the guy off Sci Trek the most? No, I wouldn't. One of the biggest hits in the last, well, definitely since COVID. So yeah, I'm not even remotely surprised I spoke to this guy, and he's got a.
The way you said that makes it as if the last big hit was COVID.
Yeah. That was popular. It was a popular moment. What have I done to my elbow? Oh, I've got an ouchie.
COVID.
You know about
COVID.
Are you developing tendonitis on stream?
Dipping in bleach immediately. Sorry, Harris.
I was just joking. I said you're developing tendonitis on stream.
Yeah. It's what's the bloody it's the Black Plague, and it's the Black Death. It's going to start dropping off me. The next fun thing to happen in the 20s. But anyway, so he also did Oblivion. He also did Tron Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant.
What was that? Did you say Trump Legacy? I know I didn't hear you. Trump
Legacy. Yeah.
Tron. The blue one.
Tron Legacy. Well, that makes much more sense. Because God knows I just can't handle more Trump Legacy. Jesus Christ.
4 more years. 4 more years.
We don't need to talk to him anymore.
But I liked Tron. I thought Oblivion was all right. I think he's a strong director. I just think he would have to work with somebody that understands Stargate if he was going to do that. But do you guys at least understand why these people have been spoken to? I mean,
all three make sense.
I understand Kosinski, however you say it.
Kosinski, yeah.
Yeah, I understand that one fully. The Chris McKay, maybe. I think
that makes sense because the Amazon connection.
Yeah. The what's his name? Whatever his name, Peele from Key and Peele.
Jordan Peele.
I don't know. Is it just because he's funny, or
Have you seen his movies though?
I've seen a few.
Because his movies are anything but funny typically.
Well, okay, I've not seen any of the serious
There's
ones.
no humor. Nope.
Oh, well, they're
Because-
all three very serious. Yeah.
I'll be completely honest. I only found out his first name at the beginning of this stream. I didn't know Jordan Peele was him. I knew him as Peele because of Key and Peele.
Yeah, for his movies, think everything he's done prior to that comedy, and then just turn that completely on its head and make it scary, and not even necessarily scary, more scary in the sense of like psychological thriller, like just with your brain.
Nope is the one you told me to watch, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
I haven't watched it.
Check it out.
I will.
Before he gets the movie, of course.
Let's not get into the long list of movies that Matt hasn't seen.
No, let's just talk about the films I have seen, and we'll get there a lot quicker.
we're working on your movie education, don't you worry. But yeah, I mean, all of these names, to be honest, and I'm absolutely certain there are going to be more people they've spoken to. We just don't know who they are. These are just the three that, like I say, my source is aware of, and these conversations go back at least 6 months as well. Apparently, Joseph Kaczynski was spoken to in November. Chris McKay's been spoken to 2 or 3 times. I'm not sure about Jordan Peele, but yeah, a lot of the conversations go back away. But that makes sense because I think by the time we get to the point of announcement, they're going to want a director on board. So
Yeah,
it makes sense. And have a few ideas on which direction they're going. So if we do get an announcement in like 2 weeks, which doesn't feel possible at the moment, right? At the moment I just think, no chance. I know they're still waiting on stuff that happens with the directors and everything else, but they've got to drag out a director. They've got to, haven't they?
I mean, it's their guiding star, their directors, their North Star.
Yeah.
Whether the writers have spent 2 years making this happen or whatever, the director's their North Star, and it's the face of the film until you get one big name actor. And if you don't get a big name actor, it's still he or she, whoever's directing, is the face of that. So they definitely need to.
It's the captain, isn't it? Basically, yeah. And it's, I mean, even if somebody else is still doing all the development, which we think obviously Mark Ferguson will hopefully still be involved, the director really decides the direction, the tone. Mm-hmm. So everything else comes from there. So
because it's definitely their film. They have to deliver the edit to the producers to distribute. I mean, it's there's lots that goes into it, but it's the kind of their responsibility to deliver the final product.
I think it's when there's a good director and the director does have that control is when you get a good product. I think it's when the director doesn't have that control and when that's when I think things go sideways, don't they? Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's hope they get this decision right. Anyway, we'll move on to another subject. So, talking about a movie at all, is it what the fans want? So, before I tell you about the poll I did a couple of days ago that's now had 1,500 votes, what do you guys? I know we've discussed this once or twice before, but what do you guys want? Do you even want a movie? Honestly,
I'd rather have a series. I get more, I get more story with a series than 90-minute movie. Always prefer a series.
Yeah, I'd much rather have a series.
But
yeah,
at this point, I'd be happy with anything. I just want Stargate to come back. I say that I'm not going to be happy with anything. I don't want a web series, like a little mini series kind of thing. I don't want that. I want something big. So either a movie or a series. Ideally series. 20 seasons, yeah.
Yeah.
Just keep it going forever.
Yeah. Immediately, commission 20 seasons now.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. 200 hours of television bare minimum. Thank you. That'll do it.
That'll do it. I'll be happy.
Yes, yeah.
And they can do the episode 200 again.
Oh, yes.
I like that thinking.
With puppets. Excellent. Good. So I asked...
Jelly would love it.
Yeah, I would. To be honest, that 200th episode, I think I'm in the minority, possibly. I hated it. I respected what they were doing.
Yeah. That's our respect goes, right?
Oh, how the turntables.
Okay, now we begin the next 5 minutes of pettiness.
What's going on? Are we in the right place?
I leave for a few months and look what happens.
I know we've all become. He's got too big for his fucking boots here, boy. Look how brave he's getting. He's going to be like bloody Sauron with a big slap on the fucking forehead in a minute from me. Anyway, I respected what they were doing. I just thought it was, and I respected it was the 200th episode, and they just let him go crazy with it. It's just I loved it the first time I watched it, but then I've watched it since, and I'm sort of like, oh god, it's not an episode you'd rewatch. If that makes sense. It's like first episode, I loved it for what they were doing, but anyway, what the fans want. So I asked everybody on the community page. I asked people recently what they didn't want. But then I asked the real question: what do you actually want from a Stargate franchise? Because I know this is something that recently was asked for a marketing department, part of the PR and marketing team, to come up with an answer for the development. A series with SG1, SGA, SGU actors in, a new series with a new cast, a movie with returning cast members, and a movie with new cast, maybe a cameo or two here, right? And we've had 1,500 votes. What do you think was the most popular vote on there? The
New
most
series
popular
with the old actors.
Yeah. What do you think the percentage of the vote was?
I'm going to say like 80%, 90%.
I was going to say 80.
Stormy?
At least 3/4.
63%.
Oh, wow.
For that.
That's
A series returning SG1. Well, because a new series with a new cast, maybe a cameos or two, got 28% of the vote. So that was still a really popular vote. A movie, either way, 4% with returning. I mean, a movie with returning cast members only got 4% of the vote. That was the least popular option.
Even even if it's I would rather have a new series, new stories, new characters, with maybe some cameos peppered here and there. President Carter would be a really cool thing.
Yeah.
But just a one-off movie, 90 minutes. I mean, that's a lot of effort for at least very little payback for the fans, and that means me. Yeah.
A lot of money, a lot of risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And realistically, if they're going to do a series anyway, they're going to have to bring in new people.
Yeah.
So that first option is a pipe dream anyway. Of start the series again and just bring the old people back. That's never going to happen because they're all SG1. They're all old. Like a lot of them are older. Some of them are dead.
Yeah.
SGA, to an extent, same sort of thing. They're older. SGU is probably the only realistic one you could actually do. Bring back all of the cast, just in terms of people who are alive and young enough to do it, things like that. So yeah, I mean, I am with everyone who voted for that. I would love that 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But obviously, in the situation we're in, it's going to have to be new cast. But we'd like to see cameos of at least the big four from SG1, and then maybe some from SGA and SGU.
I think some of the SG1 characters could return. I mean, Ben Browder could return. Michael Shanks could return. Amanda Tapping could return.
I think 90% of SG1 could return, and 98% of SGA could return, and 100% of SGU could return, albeit the deaths and stuff. Honestly, I think there's room for all of them, and those are the stories. Even though I do agree we don't want to see the neutered versions of our old favorite characters, I don't think if you put all those characters into it, I don't think you can neuter them. And if you do, it would just be an injustice to just both the fans and the characters themselves. Mm-hmm. I guess I'm thinking Mark Fergus is on the mind because The Expanse is Game of Thrones for sci-fi in my mind, in a lot of ways, where first 4 seasons were amazing. The last 2 a little iffy. Game of Thrones first 6 seasons, amazing. Last 2 seasons, a little iffy. That happened with some production changes and stuff. But both those series truly cover a multitude of characters and do it very, very well. Mark Fergus is one of the people that does that. And if you hire, I don't necessarily say, I'm not thinking that we should go like Game of Thrones route and make it super serious and House of Dragon route, super serious and all these different things. But there is a way to balance all of that. It's difficult and you have to hire the right people, but there is a way to balance all that. And it would be nice for them to do that because that means that means Amazon would, especially if they're the ones making it at the end of the day and it's not outsourced elsewhere, they have that much more vested interest, not just in the actual film or TV series, both maybe, but all in us and the fans as well. That would be one of those things. We discussed it a long time ago. If Amazon is the one that ends up making it, and it's not a movie, it's a TV series, they really need to push it out there. If it's a movie as well, they really need to push it out there. Put that stuff on your Amazon Prime boxes everywhere. That's the best way to get eyes on it. And I think if they were to do all that, that'd be the best way to both get funding, continuous funding, and hopefully more eyes just on whatever it is initially. Because the one good thing about a movie, because the more we talk about it, the more it sounds good to me in a lot of ways. This conversation's kind of made my brain go a little wild, though. A movie's good for eyes. It's better for eyes. No matter how many people you want to go watch it on Amazon Prime, think realistically how many people go watch Amazon Prime for TV shows week by week. The Boys is like the only show I can think about that. There are even big things like Billions and what's Phoebe Waller-Bridge's show, Fleabag, and stuff like that. But that's not like you don't get the numbers there every week. So that's my biggest thing where a movie could put it in its grave just as fast as it could help it rise. The eyes will be on a movie. The 24-hour news sources will be on a movie more so.
Well, when I was chatting to this person that could be a girl about the movie, they actually said, "Look, the only thing that's definite is that the movie is in development." He was saying that's definite. That is happening. And I said, "Well, does that mean we're only getting a movie?" And he was just like, "Well, no." So I was like, "Well," she says, "Well, they've always said that they were going to develop. The plan was to have the movie and the TV series in development sort of at the same time, and they've been developing both." He says the script that is produced for that Mark Fergus has written. He says that is being asked. They've asked to see if that can be moved into the movie script. That's true. But that still doesn't mean this a movie is going to come first. We could get a TV series first still. It's because it takes so much longer to do the movie. So we know the movie's coming. But the idea was to sort of do these things at the same time and to film them at the same time. And if they do that, there's no reason why we couldn't get it. So I was sort of so what decision do you think's been made on that one? And his answer was, I don't think they have. I don't think there is a decision. I don't think they've actually got that far. Well, and that just blows my freaking mind, to be honest.
I mean, well, my question is, does Amazon even have the money to do all that?
They've got a $2 billion a year budget for Prime, for Amazon.
And so, that's, Rings of Power is half of that this year. Yeah. That's something as expansive as Stargate, with all the locations and different sets and the aliens and spaceships and all the CGI. That starts to add up after a while. Maybe they're looking at the issue of let's just do a movie, see how it goes, because that'll be a lot cheaper than, committing to 3 seasons.
And they've already, at the end of the day, put the money to one side for cinematic movies. We think that's why they've decided to do a cinematic movie, because the money's already there. They've already budgeted for it.
Oh, okay.
Budgeted to do 5 or 6 cinematic movies a year. And it seems they've done that without actually deciding what movies they were going to do. I can't help but think, I've said this before loads of times, haven't I? But I can't help but think they've just gone, let's just do a Stargate movie. We've got the money there. Let's just do that. But it seems to me that there's an appetite for it, and and Amazon desperately do want to do this.
Yeah.
But it's going to be through MGM. It's MGM's budget. It's MGM that's going to be behind it.
And so Amazon's just a distributor in terms of the.
It's confusing because MGM has been absorbed into Amazon Pictures to a degree. But there are still people that run sort of like MGM Plus. Michael Wright is still there, and he's the biggest voice. He wants a TV series, but he wants it for MGM Plus, and I think that will be a massively unpopular decision.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, going back to what do we go to Amazon Prime to watch? Man, when I go, like, I will go to like Apple Plus or Disney Plus or whatever. Just looking to see what they got, see what's new, see what's going on. I never do that with Amazon Prime. I'll hear something from like you guys and it's on Amazon Prime, so I'll go look for it. If the only reason I watched so much Amazon Prime last year was because Rings of Power, and as soon as it was over, I really didn't go back unless I wanted to watch Rings of Power again. So they do.
No, sorry,
So anyway, somebody in the chat was saying, that's kind of what they're trying to do is just get more people. They're trying to fix the problem of no one goes to Amazon Prime to watch new stuff. It's just not, maybe this would help that mechanism.
I honestly think the biggest problem Amazon Prime's got is it's not very easy to negotiate. The website is Netflix, you go on and whatever you see, you can watch. With Amazon Prime, it's like, can I actually watch that? Or am I going to have to pay £20 to watch it? Or am I going to have to subscribe to this to watch it? So what you see on the menu.
I watched Back to the Future last week or the week before on the way home from work on Amazon Prime. If I go on it now, continue watching, rent or buy?
Yeah. It's
like if it's to rent or buy, don't pull it on Prime Video. Pull it somewhere else.
On something else, yeah.
Like
and that is the biggest problem with Prime. But Prime don't, like we've said this before, long-term Prime don't want to be a channel. They want to be an aggregator of other channels. That's their long-term goal. They want it to be the place you go to look for everything, but not necessarily to watch that you will. They want MGM Plus to be an add-on that you go and watch.
I'm looking at the MGM Plus thing right now. Look at the most popular show.
Isn't that it?
Right. Look at the popular two. SGA was right after.
Teen Wolf was 3.
Teen Wolf is 3.
Teen Wolf's massively popular.
And
hey, and SGA is number 4. Hey.
And then the Pink Panther show.
And we'll Stargate the movies down there, huh?
And then RoboCop, the two things that they're on about actually bringing back first, RoboCop and Stargate are the two main things they want to bring back from MGM.
You can't forget Legally Blonde 3.
We keep forgetting it.
Keep forgetting that.
It's. I mean, it's the most important thing for me. I know where that girl is and what she's doing now. Surely she's president by now. So.
Well, the last thing I went to go purposely watch on Amazon Prime was there was another episode of the Grand Tour.
Mm-hmm.
With the
Jeremy.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, back to Disney Plus or Yellowstone or whatever the hell it was. They do have to. Yeah, they need a better interface because I can never find anything that really is worth watching unless I have to hear it from someplace else, and then I go hunt it down, watch it, and then leave, which I know is not what they want.
I think there's actually too much on there. Because they advertise stuff that's on Netflix and things because they want you to watch it through Prime. It's just too much, and you can't find stuff.
I think the biggest problem with Prime is, like you said, you click something thinking you can watch it and you can't. You have to subscribe, or you have to buy it, or you have to rent it.
It's a bummer.
That's not a good user experience. Like with Netflix, you go to Netflix and you can watch it. You don't have to pay anything extra. You're already paying for your subscription. So you go there, you see a movie. Yeah, I'll watch that. And their discovery system's quite good as well on Netflix, where it just shows you what's trending in your country. what's popular in your area, kind of thing. So you can discover new things that way. With Prime, I mean, I'm looking at it now. It's continue watching, so it's things I've already seen. Trending movies, all of which I have to buy, and then not a lot of anything I'm really interested in.
To be fair, there is a free with Prime option down there that you can find just movies that are free with Prime.
Yeah,
Prime originals are always free, and so that there is you can find it. It's just that you need to know what you're looking for.
And it's not for lack of quality. I think everything Amazon Prime has made has like Prime originals, whether it be TV shows or movies, have all been pretty damn good, and all maybe not well received in like a successful type of way, but well received in a critic and audience vote of confidence kind of way. I mean, I don't know why they don't promote that over. Obviously, they want more money, which is why, hey, go watch this through us. But
I'll be back in 1 second, guys. Can't keep talking. I'll be back in a sec.
Yeah, and it just kind of feels like Amazon, and instead of book service and hey, buy this, it's now they're really putting Amazon Prime into the film aspect of their stuff, which I don't blame them, but put it down further on the list or put it all in one like little section of when you're scrolling down. They
could have a section just for services. Like literally just a button at the top, services, and then you connect your accounts to that, or you subscribe through that, and then everything from the services tab then gets amalgamated into your content delivery or your content discovery.
That's kind of the way Apple TV is. You know, if you use the Apple TV app, you know, there's like TV shows, there's movies, and you get into that, and that's stuff you can buy.
Yeah.
You get, you know, Apple Plus. Then you see, you know, Silo and Foundation and all the shows that you're not having to go buy and do a transaction for. You just watch it, you know. And you can also, like, I think I get AMC through Apple TV, and it just kind of blends right in, you know.
Apple TV and Hulu both do what Amazon Prime's trying to do in infinitely better ways.
Oh
I think.
my God, yeah. The only thing I run into every once in a while with that is like subscribing to Showtime. I'll get like, oh, this is on Showtime, and that's the only, and that's rare, you know.
I just went ahead and subscribed, so I didn't have to deal with that anymore.
Yeah, 100%. Right, so I did a video on, I think I put it out on Friday, pretending to be it's health and safety guy's brother, PR guy. And he's in the British office of the PR company, and they're trying to figure out how to release the big news to the Stargate program to the general public, releasing it to the general public. Go and watch it. It took me forever to edit. So
yeah, sorry about that.
Literally, well, Matt had to go, couldn't figure it out, and I had to go, and I couldn't figure it out, and in the end, I figured it out. But oh man, so yeah, it was a lot of fun doing, but oh my God, it took ages. So, and if you think that your name appeared in the thing, it's because it did. So a few of the actual
me and Jay sat there on a call for like 2 or 3 hours or whatever it was on Sunday.
An hour.
Sunday? Was it only an hour? It felt longer.
Sunday evening.
Could not figure out how to do it anyway. But
we were like, yeah, we should put our subscribers' name in there. We should put David B, Kerry, Shelley. I think Harris was in there, and then you put me in there, and everyone to tell me to shut up.
Shut up, Matt. Appeared to me, so it amused me there. And then I like it when you actually come up with a good idea and everyone, shut up, Matt. Oh no, that's actually quite a good idea. I thought that was funny. Anyway, but it was. I'm now going to have to follow it up with a serious question because, to be fair, all the comments, a couple of people didn't quite get that it was a joke, and actually then put some very, very long, very serious answers to what was supposed to just be a bit of a giggle. But I have to wonder, you know, how do they release? How if we think they're going to make the Stargate an open secret at the end, not an open secret, you know, it's going to be released to the public. How do they do that if it's going to be a movie first?
Because
you've got 2 hours. That's not a lot of time to tell a story.
The only
about-
realistic way I could see it in a movie setting is be like Independence Day style. Like the aliens just arrive, and then they have to, and then everyone knows aliens exist, and then they go, right, we've got this government, like, secret agency, we've had it for like 20, 30 years. Don't worry about it, let's destroy the aliens, and then they can deal with the aftermath later on.
Or, yeah, I mean, they could always do, aliens beaming down in, Times Square, Piccadilly Circus, or something like that, and just like, oh, well, now we got, like Matt said, well, we got to deal with these guys, and then we'll tell them about this Stargate thing later. We've been fighting this huge intergalactic war, or extragalactic, actually. And yeah, they finally got here, and there were some skirmishes here, and then your lives have been at risk for the last 30, 40 years. No, but it's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Over again.
But and then the other thing is, would people even care? I mean, let's go back to the whole reality UFO thing. I mean, a couple years ago, this is how Jamie and I met. The New York Times posted, this story where the government, the Office of Intelligence, what was it, OSI, the Navy OSI Office of
the DOD as well.
Special Intelligence. Anyway, yeah, the DOD was initially saying, well, we are in possession of ships not of this Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like there's no follow-up story. It's either
there was literally a press conference. There was a press conference a few weeks ago. Some dude from some military thing literally done a press conference and told everyone about aliens and what they've got and blah 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 and this and all that.
Oh, the whistleblower guy.
Yeah, it was all over TikTok, but it was not in the news. I mean, it was for a day. For a day.
That 24/7 news cycle just churns it out and keeps your brain going and just puts anything else out in front of it where you need to.
If the Stargate program got revealed, then there are people who just don't care. There were people who just deny it even exists. The news would move on. People would forget. Like, it would take something incredible like an alien ship coming down to the planet for people to take notice. And that's the only realistic way they can do it.
I mean, even if the president did a statement basically on the podium saying
that'd be different.
No, I see. If the president right now, if Joe Biden got on a podium now and said aliens exist, Joe Biden,
say a horrible Joe Biden joke.
Come on,
God, that man! I'm not sure he could. Is he going to live long enough to get to the podium? I saw him in an interview at the weekend. I don't want to get into politics, but I saw him in an interview 2 or 3 days ago on CNN. And if I was an American, I'd be a Democrat. I'm going to say that straight up. I would have to vote for him. But it was like talking to my dotty old granddad. And the interview was so like, oh, bless. Do you want to wear this? All the way through. She was quite patronising to him. That man is about 300 years old. I think it was a Weekend at Bernie's thing going on. I think he's actually dead and it's a puppet. I think.
Dude, don't even say it because people will believe it.
Okay, right. So if there was a president that people took seriously in power when he spoke, people would just assume it was a conspiracy, like they're covering something else up and this is why they're doing it. It would be, oh, this is pulling the wool over our eyes so they could do something else. Like, that's the kind of thinking people will have, because people are very untrusting. Like, the government will done everything in COVID times to try and protect everyone, like with lockdowns and all that, and then they immediately jump to this is a conspiracy, and that was literally just like the flu. Now imagine they're talking about aliens.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can't.
By the way, I'm aware COVID is slightly more serious than the flu.
Yes, not SARS. Anyway, I had an argument with my brother-in-law yesterday about it. We won't go there either. We need to stay away from politics. And we need to stay away from, even though we are thinking about doing a Sci-Trek opinionated episode once a week, maybe, or once every couple of weeks, where we're going to just talk about whatever we want. Maybe not the best idea, but
that'd be fine.
I wonder if the movie does start with, it's been public for years, like sci-fi
I
quests.
don't want that.
So sorry, but Stormy said something while he was talking earlier. We may have mentioned this before. I don't think we've really talked about it. Is they could totally just finally introduce all the technology that they've gotten from all these other planets, all these other civilizations to Earth, and then show everybody all of our big ass spaceships and be like, guess what we got, y'all? And that might be like that. This two carte blanche. That's like, okay, it's in front of our face. We believe now, and they may never even have to mention a Stargate. Stargate could be completely confidential to like the world government still, and they don't actually have to talk about that, and they could just be like, guess what? We're a spacefaring civilization now. Surprise! They don't have to tell people how they got it or how they achieved all these
spacefaring civilization. We've got this technology where we can literally harness energy from vacuum space. So just ignore the fact we haven't given you that for the last 20 years, and we haven't cured famine and all that, which we literally have technology for. Ignore all of that. No, seriously, if they did that and they gave all the technology, not gave it, but showed all the technology at once, showed spaceships and all this stuff, that would cause mass hysteria and mass panic. They'd have to do it in dribs and drabs over a course of many years for it to be effective. Because if you think about it, if you found out right now that the government had all this technology that they could have prevented, like the wars that have happened in the last 20 years, people like poverty, all the world crisis and stuff like that, and on top of that, the fact that there are like evil aliens out there with ships capable of coming here and destroying us 20 times over, and people from other galaxies who come trying to destroy us, and little robot spiders and all of this stuff, people would jump off buildings. People would jump off buildings. People would riot. Society would collapse.
Have you been to Paris lately?
So should it be revealed then, or should it still be a secret?
Yes, I think it should, but it has to be done in a way that makes sense. And I think so. This is just my opinion, but the only way it makes sense is if there's a threat to Earth, and then
they've got no choice.
They can reveal some technology, but not all of it, and they can defeat that. They can defeat that threat, because realistically, the warfare, most people aren't going to see the actual warfare side of it. They're going to see the aliens arriving. They're going to see potentially us moving in to destroy the aliens. They're not necessarily going to see us doing it, and then they're going to see the aliens either going home or being destroyed. The first two things, the first and the last thing, are the most important. Things in between isn't as important for public facing. So we can literally tell them anything at that point. We can literally say, yeah, we developed the technology just in time, or we have this technology laying around. We've been developing it for a few years, and this really helped us. Not necessarily then having to reveal the program straight away, but wetting the whistles of everyone. If you get my
just thinking about all that, how obviously Stargate has stayed fairly close to like realism in the sense of like the things that happen on Earth are actually happening, but how close were they like in all actuality to following suit? Like, did the 2008 financial crisis happen in the U.S. while like right before SGU happened? Was that happening in Stargate Atlantis? Because it didn't seem to have any effect, because the budget of all these different programs, I think that maybe all these wars and stuff that have happened since Stargate would have happened haven't happened in Stargate world, and maybe all these things have been, maybe it's been world peace for the past 20, 25 years, and everyone's kind of wondering why, and then
this is science fiction. Let's just
Well, world peace, quote unquote. There's always going to be some skirmishes.
They were actually ahead of us in terms of COVID. They had that back in season 10.
Of course. But yeah, I'm just thinking that it doesn't necessarily have to follow like our exact history. It could be a proto history, and they could kind of play around with that.
I think that's what they did anyway. It wasn't. I don't think it chronologically followed current world events, but obviously big world events like the Cold War, they happened because obviously that was part of the story with like the Russian relationships.
Well, yeah, there's. I think Harris is onto something. It's like you could, you can definitely couch the script for SGU or any of the franchises in certain ways where it's always going to be true. Like there was a line in the original Avatar movie. This was before Jake went to Pandora. He was talking about his injury, and said, "Yeah, you can't get, I can't get my legs fixed, not on vet benefits, not in this economy." Well, good God, not in this economy that's always been an excuse. I mean, for almost as long as I've been alive. I mean, it's not in this economy. Well, that could have been anytime, anywhere, and still be true because people always use that as an excuse. So yeah, I think James.
When have we ever had an economy where everybody can have everything they want? It's or need. It's never happened, is it? So
Communism.
It's post-scarcity economy.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds like a culture novel.
Hammer and sickle.
Yeah, you commie bastard.
Oh, I thought you were Wakanda forevering for a second. I was like, huh?
No, I can't
Wakanda.
control my hands into a hammer and sickle, so you're just gonna get that.
Ooh, I almost made a bad joke. Okay, keep going.
Go ahead, make it.
Generation X. Yeah, make a bad joke, Harris. We love a bad joke.
Well, it's not relevant to sci-fi in any way. I've talked to you, I think, before that Kill Tony, that comedy podcast I watched. There's this one guy who's absolutely hilarious. He's Canadian, and his name's Aaron Belial. He's got cerebral palsy on half of his body, so his I think it's his left arm is a bit of a hook, and Matt looked like he was hooking it for a second, and it was.
Well, I think we've covered Stargate for this week, but before everyone disappears,
I was about to say we can't end on cerebral palsy. There's got to be something.
No. So obviously we've now Stormy's back in particular. We normally do a "What have you been watching this week" thing and chat about what we're doing. And I don't know if you guys have seen Indiana Jones, but me and Harris have.
Yes.
So I'd love to know what you thought of Indy before we go. And then, guys, anything that you've seen that this week you wanted to talk about, would love to chat about it.
Because right after this, I'm going to go see Indy. Right after this, I'm going to go see Indy.
Right after. So this is going to ruin this for you.
Oh, good.
So, think without ruining it, Stormy.
I'll give my brief kind of non-spoilery things like I did for the little out of theater reaction yesterday. I enjoyed it a hell of a lot more than I expected it to, but at the same time, it did not tread a single bit of new water. It didn't add anything to anything besides killing off a certain child, I guess. But that doesn't happen with. It's just a line of dialogue kind of deal, and that was the only thing that I felt like it added to the lore of Indiana Jones. Because even whenever Toby Jones is placed in there and that whole fun 20-minute sequence that you get young Indiana Jones and kind of sets up the whole movie kind of deal. It's just so much of it is CGI that it doesn't feel bad necessarily. There are moments where you're like, huh, but I've heard a couple people say it, and it truly reigns, I guess, after watching it, is that it just takes the weight out of each and every scene. They clearly a couple different times throughout the movie that they'll put someone's head next to a rock, while the train's going by, and it's supposed to make you think of Temple of Doom or all these different ones, whatever. There's clearly not a human being having these things happen to them, and you feel that, or you feel the lack thereof from that, I guess. And then also, it's hard to act next to Harrison Ford, and I would think he would bring you up as a performer. But also, if you're trying to be the next Indiana Jones in a way, you got to have some charisma. And I do like Phoebe Waller-Bridge as an actress. I think she's great in most of the things that she does. But this performance was really wooden. It just felt like going through the motions. It felt like Indy light. Instead of making the character her own and doing that. I don't know if that's James Mangold's direction or if that's from higher ups like Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm itself. a little Bob Iger maybe, but it didn't revitalize a single thing for me, while also still being a hell of a lot more fun than I expected it to be.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I enjoyed it. I was told by a guy that I speak to, that could be a girl, that saw it at Cannes a few weeks ago. They told me it's good, it's not great. As long as you don't compare it to the originals, it's good. Much better than Crystal Skull. Much better than Crystal Skull. But don't compare it to the instant classic of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and you'll enjoy it perfectly well. And I did. I thought it was perfectly good. I thought it lacked some humor. I would have liked some humor. I thought the storyline though made a lot more sense. I thought they stepped up to silly, but then pulled back, which was good. Which again, I won't ruin it for Stormy, but by the end of it, you'd think I think it's open that there's some time travel involved in this, and I think that's everyone knows that now. If you've
Dial of Destiny,
well, yeah. So there is a bit of time travel. What Indiana Jones wants to do would have been silly if he'd have done it, but you can completely understand why he does. But then the way they deal with it, I thought was actually quite good. I thought it was quite clever.
Yeah, I thought that was well.
Yeah. The
Is Jack Black in it?
Sorry?
Is Jack Black in it?
Yes, he is all the way through.
And Kyle Gass.
Yes.
Because it's the dial of destiny. Child.
Andrew,
that's all I think of whenever I heard that.
For the chat, that's amazing. You'd like to say something though, Andrew? That's when you say the important things. I've got to read it out.
Yeah, that's when you get like an extra 200, 300 characters with that kind of cash.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your contribution. It really helps the channel. The CGI I thought was fine. It was much better than the Flash. There was no creepy babies. And the
microwave babies.
It wasn't in your face.
Yeah.
A couple of times for the de-aging, it sort of like went, oh, it was a bit plastic scene. And there's one bit where he's running across the top of the train, and it's actually quite bad CGI. It's like, oh, that's not good.
I was like, that's either Harrison Ford actually acting it out like Robert De Niro did in Irishman, and them just not being able to change the body, or it's just a actual CG model that cannot physically move like a human truly moves.
It was very wooden, wasn't it? And like bloody like a wooden puppet thingy.
Yeah.
But on the whole, I'd have just enjoyed a bit more humor.
A little bit.
And that would have done me. If it's just a bit funnier, it would have been a good film. But yeah.
Indiana Jones discovered the Stargate.
Why? They missed a perfect opportunity. We're talking about how to get it into the real world. Let's do that.
The Antikythera era actually opens up the Stargate. That's it's not actually a time travel thing.
That's the DHD. That's the new version of the DHD. The Dial of Destiny. But anyway, how about you guys? What have you seen this week? You seen anything that you enjoyed?
Yeah, I'm watching The Walking Dead. Still watching that.
Stormy.
So there's this last week. There's two shows I've been keeping up with. One is it's not a sci-fi show. It's The Bear. It's about this the world's greatest chef comes back to his home in Chicago to take over a restaurant. It's really, really good, but it is not sci-fi. The other one that is sci-fi is The Silo.
I'm loving The Silo.
Yeah, it's on Apple TV, I believe, and it is just it's based on a series of books, and it is excellent. It is just really excellent, top-notch, really top-notch storytelling. I watched the last episode last night, episode 10 of season 1, and it was just like, holy shit! It was just really good closing scene. So I would definitely recommend that.
I'm really enjoying it.
Is that the one where they're trapped underground?
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to see that.
Tim Robbins is just he's such a mean person.
Yeah. He's brilliant.
It's not Shawshank Redemption. Let's just say that, right?
And Andy Dufresne.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's just really. I really think it's clever. I like it when when a show like this is based on a novel, though, because you know it's going to make sense in the end. And I've read the first novel years and years and years ago, but I haven't read the two. So I don't know where it's going past like about the third episode or fourth episode, I think. I don't know what's happening after that. But no, I'm reassured, and you have that nice fuzzy warm glow that this is going to make sense in the end because it's based on a novel. So I like that. But yeah, no, it's a bit I don't know, it's a bit slow in places. It's a slow burn, which House loves. I prefer a bit more stuff going on, but it's so well acted and so well written, and they put so much money into it. You know, Apple do quality over quantity, and you gotta love that. And then season 2 of Foundation is out very shortly.
Can't wait for that.
When's that come out?
They're advertising at the moment, so it must be really soon. Everything I watch.
I don't know, July or August.
Is it August? Is it August? Really?
Is July? I thought it was July or August. I don't.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, in the next month. Well, it's July now, so that makes sense. Everything I've watched on Apple now, it's a advert for that first. So I can't think what I've just started watching on Apple now. But anyway, the only other thing I've watched today that I really enjoyed, because somebody on here told me I had to, was Into the Spider-Verse. I watched the first one today. I loved it. Thought it was great.
Good, isn't it? I watched that last week.
Yeah. A lot of people are stressing that, like that if we got like an animated Stargate movie, because I was advocating that you conclude SGU with an animated movie before everything else, and maybe even lean into how the Stargate gets revealed, maybe build that all into one, but do an animated movie. And people will go no, animated sucks, animation sucks. I watched something like Into the Spider-Verse, so, and like, you do it like that would work, and it would be, I'd watch the crap out of it. I enjoyed it. Right?
So
I can't wait to see it across the Spider-Verse now.
if I can make a couple of book recommendations, Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, the guy that wrote The Martian. Excellent.
Love that book.
Oh my God.
Rocky.
Poor Rocky. Oh my God. The little Rocky. He's just I need a Rocky plushie is what I need.
They're making it into a film, and Ryan Gosling's going to be the main guy. I can't wait to see how they.
Oh no
Rocky.
shit. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Matt, you did a video on that ages ago, and it still gets steady views.
Because it's a really good book. It's really good.
book.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other one is finished up. Consider Phoebus. It's a culture novel. It's if you ever wonder where Elon Musk gets all the crazy names for his drone ships, it's out of this book series. Consider Phoebus it originally was like one, each chapter was a short story, and it's kind of cobbled together. And through the middle, it's like the main character, it's just some imaginably bad thing happens to him in chapter 6. Chapter 7, some even more incredibly bad thing happens to him, and it just goes on. And so I quit the book, and then friends of mine guilted me into, no, it gets better. The other books get better, so just hang with it. So I did, and it did actually get better. The book did, and it was worth trudging through the cult, the cannibal cult leader, and oh my God in heaven. So, but anyway, yeah. I would suggest that. The thing I'm reading now is Triana Moore, Space Janitor, which is really funny. It's not like a kind of a humor like Hitchhiker's Guide was, but it's really funny. It's really engaging. But yeah, it's about this space janitor. She's on a space station, and she finds a body. Well, one of her robots finds a body, and then hijinks can ensue. So I would suggest Triana Moore, Space Elevator. The entire series is only 1,000 pages.
I was going to do health and safety guy's cousin, janitor guy.
There's a lot of nepotism over there. Have you noticed that in the safety department?
Yeah, but oh no, he's borderline suicidal. By the next video, he might actually drink quite heavily in the next video. I haven't decided what I'm doing yet, but I might be doing a health and safety guy video this week. We'll see how I go. But But yeah, I was thinking like about a janitor, health SGC janitor, trying to keep the place tidy after. God damn it! I've just finished cleaning up this place. And it gets fucked up.
Yeah, it gets infested by replicators and have to clean up all those blocks.
So, but we'll see if whatever jumps to mind. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for the chat. We've had fun and put the world to rights once more. Storming, it is so nice to see you back.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for the warm welcome back.
I feel like the Grinch. My heart has just grown an extra size.
3 times too much.
Yeah, exactly. And other parts of me have grown as well. So
Yo, that's why
blood's flowing.
Anyway, Matthew, thank you so much, and Harris, as always, you've been marvelous. Yeah, we've been Sidetrack. So what else are we going to say? Thank you so much, everybody in the audience, especially, and you guys that contributed to the channel today. That you've been marvelous. Say bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
See y'all.
Toodles.
Toodles.